Well, well, well. I am Filthy Rich and I'm in the driver's seat. Joining me riding shotgun, Judge Jimmy James. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Brews and Boxing. Well, you know how we do. We're about to start with some brews and news. And like we always do about this time, crack open that brew. Judge Jimmy James, you got one?
I do.
Shout out to you, Raider Live, Bach from Lindstrom. Let's go.
Cheers.
Fresh. It's hard apple cider. I feel like a fraud.
It's okay. I forgive you.
All right. I appreciate it. Let's get into our first bit of news here. Boxing News 24's Matt Lieberman's reporting that Bob Arum is open to Lomachenko versus either Davis or Haney next. Judge, my question for you, who would you rather see Loma fight next out of these two, or is it someone else?
Well, first, let's not forget that Loma's got to get past Nakatani. And we'll touch base on that later in the show. So stay tuned for that. But if we want to talk about Loma against Tank Davis or Devin Haney, that's a interesting question because Davis is obviously fighting at 140 this weekend, which we'll touch base later in the show. And Haney just fought, I guess it was a okay match. In his last fight, looked a little bit better, but honestly, if it's my opinion, because it is, I think that Devin Haney is going to be the fight that I think I would rather see Loma come back to, or not come back to, but fight. That is a defensive, like a slick boxer against a slick boxer. I would like to see if he can get past Nakatani, who's definitely not the same style as Haney. Then have that to see how well that shoulder holds up, right? If his shoulder holds up for that fight, then maybe you could see him fighting a Davis. But we just don't know if Davis is going to be at this weight at all, right? So I think it's going to be Devin Haney. That's probably about all I have on that. Rich, do you agree with that? Would you like to see Haney next, or do you think it's going to be Davis, or did you have somebody else?
No, I think you're absolutely right. I think the only thing we're missing on this is Bob Arum is full of that word. Bob Arum's full of it. He just wants to talk about himself. I'm getting sick of Bob Arum teasing all these fights, saying, well, I want this guy to fight him. I think he's going to be next. You know damn well, Bob Arum, you don't want Loma to fight anyone. You want to protect your golden goose. And like, I do get it, but don't try to mislead the public. We're not falling for it. I think we stopped falling for it years ago. I think, the question was, who would you rather see him fight? Yeah, I think I'd rather see Haney. If there is another guy, obviously Ryan Garcia gets thrown out there. Lopez sounds like he's moving up to 140. I wouldn't mind seeing a rematch out of those two. But yeah, will Tank Davis come back down for this fight? I doubt it. And I don't think Loma's going up to 140 to fight Davis. I think 135 is too much for Loma. If anything, he needs to move down or stay at 135. So a Davis fight ain't happening. And this is why Bob Arum's just full of crap, man, because he knows damn well he's not going to put Loma versus Tank Davis. It's just not happening. I don't know about you, but I'm going to drink to that.
Yeah, I'll agree. I don't have much to add.
All right, let's just go on to our second bit of news here. SB Nation's Will Esco is reporting that Nonito Donaire is set to unify titles with John Riel Casimiro on August 14th. My question for you tonight, does Donaire have enough left in the tank for a career resurgence, or will we likely see Casimiro fight Inoue?
This one is interesting. Like, I really like this division, right? I like Nonito Donaire. I think he is probably going to be a Hall of Famer in this division as far as I'm concerned. Interesting point about this was that Guillermo Rigondeaux was actually supposed to fight Casimiro, and he decided that for whatever reason, he's not hurt. He's willing to step down and allow this fight to happen. So that's a little strange considering Rigondeaux's what, like 4,800 years old or something like that. Like I don't even know if he's going to get to fight again as far as that goes. But I mean, this is very, very interesting. Obviously, Nino Donaire pulled out one hell of a win against Ubali, and I did not think he was going to knock him out. But you know, what happened. Do I think this is going to be a resurgence? It's going to be tough. If I had my opinion today, which is when we're doing this anyway, I think this is Donaire's last run, right? This is the last year where he's going to be making some moves like he already did to probably fight to get a rematch fight against Inoue. I know their last fight was unreal. Just a lot of heart from Donaire. And I just think that he's the better boxer of the two. So that's going to be mine. I think he's got enough for a late resurgence. I think if he doesn't beat Casimero, that's probably going to be towards the end of the line for him, as far as I can see. But I mean, I don't know, Rich. Like, what do you believe? Because I don't know how much you know. What is your opinion on both? I guess real quick.
Yeah, so I would say something like some of the key words here I take are like the career resurgence. I don't look at Donaire as a Pacquiao type. They're both. I'm pretty sure they're both from the Philippines. But when we talk resurgence, I think of someone like a Pacquiao who can still beat some of the top names today. It just beat Thurman, but let's not talk about Pacquiao. As far as Donaire goes, I think you nailed it. I think he's got like that. He has to win this fight. He doesn't win this fight, nothing real will amount to anything. And I guess thinking about Rigondeaux stepping aside, Rigondeaux is going to get the loser of this fight because the winner is going on to fight Inoue. So I don't know how much sense it makes for Rigondeaux to this would have been a big payday for him. And Father Time is undefeated except for the draw with Julio Cesar Chavez Sr., who just beat Camacho Jr. this past weekend. My goodness. But yeah, I think if we had to pick winners on this, Donaire and Casimero off script here, who do you got right now? We can change our answers weeks from now, but right now, who would you take?
I would probably take the Filipino Flash.
I think I'm with you on that. I think that's going to set up the Inoue rematch, which leads Casimero to Rigondeaux. And who would you take in Casimero and Rigondeaux?
Ooh, that is a good one. Ooh, you button hooked me on that one, bud.
I got good questions for days. I'm drinking to me again. I'm on a roll, baby.
Man, I'd probably go with Casimero on that one. I'd probably go with Casimero.
Again, I agree with you. And again, I'm gonna drink to me, and this time I'll drink to you.
All right. Well, all right. Let's drink.
Let's get into brews and I think it's reviews. All right, so this past weekend, if you stayed up late and you were watching ESPN, you got to see a few minutes of Naoya Inoue versus Michael Das Marinas. James, break it down for us.
Well, I can tell most people probably expected what happened. Which is I'm in that same boat. I didn't think it was going to happen as quickly as it did, to be honest. I thought Das Marinas was going to be able to use some of his height to a better advantage against Inoue. Obviously, it's still just a crapshoot on that one because you're either going to be effective or you're not with him. And you just got to stay away from the monster. And he was doing a decent job at the beginning of the fight, which I guess isn't to say much, maybe a minute and a half. Was doing well in the first round until the first left hook to the body by Inoue, and just dropped him to the point where it looked like it was going to be stopped in that first round. And after that, Inoue knew 100% that he had this wrapped in the bag. Das Marinas tried to stay away a little bit. You could obviously see him covering up his left side a lot. He got through the second round, no problem. Once he got back to that third round, he got Inoue was kind of picking on him, right? Doing little jabs to the face, little, like, not like full on hooks, like right hooks or anything like that, but was baiting him up to open up that spot to just go under and around the guard and just boom and hit him and dropped him. And then he got back up one last time and was like, all right, yep, I can do this. I can do this. And then came back. Anyway, did that same thing. I think he threw 4 or 5 punches. It was just little, and then boom, down, and it was out. It was, this is the reason why Inoue is in the top 3 pound for pound for me. It's just, he is just so gross. And it was fantastic. I mean, he's exciting, 100% exciting. So I'm really looking forward to what he can actually do in the future. I thought this might have been a little bit better fight, but it didn't happen that way. But either way, still a good showing by Inoue. He did what he was supposed to do, and man, watch out for him in the future. So then that brings up what's next for both fighters. So Rich, take it away.
Look, I do want to comment. I know you said, I believe you said you may have thought it would have went longer, and I gotta say, TopRank signing with ESPN has been a mess. They can't get any of their timed events on at the right time. I mean, this fight was running like an hour late because there was a College World Series game that went into extra innings. This fight didn't start till it would be 12:30 if you're on the East Coast. It is getting ridiculous.
That is ridiculous. I could not.
Are you still
believe
with
that.
me? My screen just blacked out on me.
100% still with you, and I cannot believe that either. That was
Okay.
I forgot that I was watching that fight at like 11:30 or 11:45 p.m. Central Standard. It was, yeah, unreal.
Yeah, so I would say, like, what's next for these guys? One of the first names that comes to my mind is Ubali. I think Ubali just put up a good fight with whoever we were just talking about. Was it
Today.
It was Donaire, yeah. Ubali, and I think that's one name. I got someone like Rigondeaux, because Rigondeaux just bailed out on the whatever fight we were just talking about. I'm going through technical issues right. Of course,
Donaire and Casemiro, man.
Yeah, of course I'm going through technical issues right now. Everything just blacked out on me. But the little sleeper pick I have in my back pocket, Gary Antonio Russell, is at this division. Right now, he's ranked 10th according to Ring Magazine. I expect him to only move up in those rankings, and at some point, yeah, I would say Inoue is in his path, but I also don't know if ESPN and like Showtime can make a fight like this happen, if you know what I mean. If Russell is with the PBC and Al Heyman, the fight just won't happen. And I bring that up because Gary Russell Jr. is with the PBC, and Gary Antoine Russell is with the PBC. My guess is Gary Antonio is as well, but that would be like the big name, the 3 big names I would say for Inoue. Outside like the Casemiro Donaire winner, forget all that for a second. Now, as far as like Das Marinas goes, the drawing board. He just needs to go to. I have nothing for this guy. Maybe Gary Antonio Russell, because he's probably going to need an opponent to prove that he belongs here. And if he can beat Marinas earlier than Inoue did, which I think the fight was rushed because, hey, it's late. Let's get this thing over with. Otherwise, I think the fight would have went late. But yeah, those would be my two names. I'm sorry, three names for Inoue and all 0 or 1 name for Marinas. You drinking to that?
Yeah, I'm drinking to
I
that.
am. I definitely am. After this blackened screen, I can't believe this, man. Look, there was one more fight on Showtime on Saturday as well. It was Jamal Charlo fought Juan Macias Montiel. This fight went the distance. This fight went 12 rounds. I think it was the first time Montiel went 12 rounds. Charlo at the time 4-0 in championship rounds. Obviously now 5-0. Montiel has this awkward style. Like the first 2 rounds, maybe even 3 rounds, he was switching from orthodox to southpaw every few seconds. I kid you not, every few seconds, this dude had his left foot in front, like he's going to hit you with the right. And all of a sudden, he just makes like they call it good footwork. This dude knows what footwork is because he would just move to the side. Now his other foot's in front and he hits you with the left. I've never seen anything like it. Charlo was having a difficult time getting to Montiel. That being said, I think Charlo won probably every single round. It got debatable towards the end where Montiel could have won the last 3 rounds, or at least one of the last 3 rounds. Maybe not all of the last 3, but Montiel was awkward. It was kind of uncomfortable watching this fight because he looked like he didn't know what he was doing. But the truth was, he actually did have a plan. I don't know if he executed it well. Maybe Charlo's not the guy you want to execute that plan with, but I will say we did our top 5 middleweights earlier this year, and Montiel wasn't even on the radar. And if we had to redo this list, I would say he's got to be. I think he'll be a top 10 middleweight in next year's Filthy 5 list. Outside of that, I think all judges had it a landslide. I thought it was a landslide. Not much more I can add. All I would ask of you is who's next for Jamal Charlo and who's next for Montiel?
All right. Yeah, that's crazy. I just went back and looked at our list earlier because you said Montiel was going to be in the top 10. The people that obviously we had our top 5 with Charlo, Triple G, Andre, Munguia, and Derevchenko. I have 12 guys on my list, and I don't even have him on there. So I guess that's kind of a big take to put him up there. But hell, you know what? I've seen crazier things happen, right? So on to what will be next for these two guys. Well, Jamar Charlo, I think that's the easy one. At this point, it's got to be Triple G or Andre. For me, you can't keep ducking anybody else in this division. You have a belt. If you want more belts in this division, then this is what you need to do. You need to fight one of those 2 people. It just doesn't make any sense to not fight one of those big names, because at this point it's time for a payday. Like, it's just kind of crazy to me that's not hasn't already happened, right? So I mean, for me, that's easy. I'll toss it to you in a hot minute, but as far as Montiel, to entertain the fact that you think he's going to be a top 10 fighter, right? Coming up here. So he's very young, by the way. He's only 27. He's got 22 wins, and all those wins have come by knockout. So that's something that's pretty good. Although I did see his last knockout against James Kirkland, and that was a pretty joke. I think Kirkland was just done. That was really bad. But as far as the fight, if I've got technically 4 names that would probably pop to mind at the 160 division. That's probably going to be Eubank Jr., Ryan Murata, Derevinchenko. And then lastly, even if those three names are just too big of names in that division and you still need to have somebody else to try to make a name, I'm probably going to toss in Rob Brandt. Haven't seen Rob Brandt fight in God knows how long. So there you go. Some guy that just lost to Charlo, who went the distance. You want to make a name for yourself, or not make a name for yourself, but get yourself back on that horse, and get in the conversation again. Those are probably the four names that I have. So I guess I just want to toss it back to you real quick. Do you agree with my take on Charlo, or do you have a different take on who he should be fighting next? Because that one, I really want to hear your thoughts.
Look, there's one name that can go with both these guys, and that one name is someone who needs to decide if they're at 160 or 168. And for me, that name is Demetrius Andrade. That I think that fight can be made. I don't know why we're like, not to say we're waiting for a Golovkin fight, but I just don't see the Golovkin fight happening. I think that's the right answer. Don't get me wrong. I don't think Montiel would fight Golovkin. I don't think that's next for him. But Andrade is apparently looking for an opponent. He asked Canelo, and Canelo politely told him to get out of the room. I believe. I think I'm quoting him. I think his exact words were, "Will you please get out of this room while I conduct my interview?" I could be wrong.
Oh, pretty please.
And yeah. Anyways, no, I think you're right with Charlo. I mean, there's only one name, but if we were to add a name, it would be Demetrius Andrade. And just like with Montiel, I think you got all the names right. But again, Demetrius Andrade claims he's looking for an opponent. Montiel, I do want to mention two things I forgot to touch on. He did like the bolo punch in the second round. He didn't land it, but he had one arm here and the other arm was swinging. And I'm thinking, this dude don't know what he's doing, but he knew what he was doing. His footwork was awkward and all that stuff, but he was throwing bolo punches. Rarely do I get excited for a dude that probably has no chance, but this is a television show. This is entertainment, and he gets the name of the game. And I was impressed by that. The second thing I wanted to bring up is he cut Jamal Charlo. That's the first time Jamal has been cut in his entire career. So this dude really does have something. I don't think he's a flash in the pan. I really think he's going to be on our top 10 next year. I think he needs the exposure. And I think someone, summing this all up, someone like Demetrius Andrade could possibly give him that exposure, because Demetrius Andrade's like having an awkward fight or two. I'd like to see them mix it up. It could be a war, or it could be the most boring fight we've seen since Canelo and Cesar Chavez Jr. I'll drink to that. Haha.
Me too. Cheers.
All right, Brews and Previews time. You ready for this? ESPN this weekend's going to have, actually, I take that back. It is exclusively on ESPN Plus. It's going to have Vasil Lomachenko versus, I can't say his name, Nakatani. I don't know. Make it short, make it long. Do what you want. Who you got?
Oh yeah. So we got a little bit of time on this one. So this is going to be an interesting fight. I think I touched base on this in a previous show, obviously, but Nakatani, he had a fight in his last fight where he got knocked down at least twice, I believe. And he ended up coming back through all of this and ended up winning by knockout to his opponent. And I don't remember who it was at this point.
Was it Verdejo? Before Verdejo got in all that trouble? I think it was Verdejo, man.
Yes.
Was it Verdejo?
Yes.
I think it was. Yeah.
That's who, because Verdejo, yes. You're right. Yep. But that was an awesome fight to watch. I didn't think he had a chance, and boy, oh boy, did he prove me wrong, right? So this makes me a little worried for old Loma coming back from his loss and his two injuries. So I think there's a big height difference too. I'm talking like 5 inches, 4 or 5 inches in height, and then think 4 or 5 inches in reach. So I think if you actually saw the press conference today, I saw Loma, they were doing the stare down, and Loma's like, hey, and he grabs his shoulders and he's pushing him down, and because he wants Nakatani to go so they can go face to face. And they were happy. They were both having a good laugh. It looked like a lot of good fun there. So, so that is a little interesting. Makes me a little nervous. However, I don't think I get really that nervous for this stuff, man. I think if Loma's healthy, Loma's gonna win. It's just that simple. He's just a better fighter than 99% of the fighters that I see out there, and he's just gonna win. It'll just be interesting to see how he does off of his injury. But that's probably what I got. I got Loma probably going to be by some sort of a TKO.
I'm gonna go with Nakatani and Teofimo Lopez got into it, and I believe that fight went the distance with Lopez winning by decision. I think Loma has said that he wants to knock Nakatani out to prove that he can one up his, rival. I don't think we're going that far yet, but he wants to outdo Lopez. So Loma thinks he's going to knock him out. I'm going to go with Loma on this. I'll take knockout in. It depends on if the baseball game. Oh wait, no, there's no baseball game. It's ESPN Plus. They got it right this time. There'll be no baseball game. It'll go late. I'm going Lomachenko knockout, 11th round. No quitting on the time. Showtime pay-per-view is they've got Gervonta Davis making his debut at 140 versus Mario Barrios. Who you got?
Oh, man, this one's going to be the interesting one because this is what Tank jumped up from 126 to 140. Is that what it was? Right?
I think it's even 130. I think,
or maybe was it just 130?
I think when he fought Santa Cruz, I think that fight was at 130 for some reason.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Santa Cruz probably came up from 126. Either way, it doesn't matter. He's going up 2 weight classes, right? At least 2 weight classes to come and fight Barrios. Undefeated fighters. Barrios is definitely the taller fighter by 4 inches. Really doesn't have that big of a reach advantage, which is kind of crazy. So I would be concerned if I was Barrios. This is another Southpaw Orthodox matchup too. That was also Nakatani and Loma, also Southpaw Orthodox matchup. Hopefully we don't have that one ref who was doing the Shakur Stevenson fight, who just kept breaking people up for stepping on each other's feet. Maybe we'll talk about that another time. But man, if I got this, I had to make a decision. I've got more knowledge and tread with Tank, and I've seen what he does. It's a 96% knockout percentage to 65 for Barrios, and I've seen Tank take some hits. There's a reason he calls him Tank. I'm gonna go with Tank, and I probably will say that Davis will. I'm gonna call Davis knocks him out in 8.
I don't know who Davis fought last. I think it was Gamboa was his last. I could be wrong about Gamboa, but my mind goes straight to the Gamboa fight where that went 12. He finally knocked him out in the 12th round. Now you're moving up 2 weight classes to fight a dude who we had in our top 10. I'm going to go same result as Gamboa. I think it's going to be Davis with a knockout sometime in the 12th round. I don't know how else to analyze it, but this is going to be huge for Davis, and I don't know what's going to be next for him. Who's going to want any of that? But we'll see.
So real quick then, if he beats Barrios, right? Let's just say he beats Barrios because that's what we're predicting. Does he stay at 140 or does he drop down to 135? Is he trying to meet Teofimo Lopez? Is he trying to meet a Devin Haney? Like, what do you think he does after this? Because we weren't expecting him to jump and skip that division. Like, what are your thoughts on, does he stay or does he go?
Yeah, well, I like how you said, does he go back down for, I think you said Haney and someone else, but the real answer is, does he go back down for Bob Arum to prove me wrong? Because I could possibly see Davis going back down to 130. Like here's what he needs to do: go to 135 and get a belt if it's available. Because your legacy at the end of the day is not gonna. It's gonna say that you're a 4 division champion, but it's because you completely skipped over a division. Why not just be like a 5 division champion or something? So I think first and foremost, he's going to find the money. It's going to be, where is the money? And if that money's, I hope that money's at 135 for a belt. If that can happen, then that would be his next move after Barrios. But if there is something available at 140 for big money, I think Davis has to take the big money, but again, your legacy will have like that blemish on it because you weren't like that 5 or 6 division champ. You fell short because you jumped over a division. Now, if I can just go off a little bit here and do a little history lesson, I believe it was Henry Armstrong when he was he was competing with Joe Louis as the most popular boxer in the world. Joe Louis was winning that debate. So what Henry Armstrong wanted to do was be a 3 division champion, and he held 3 titles simultaneously. So he went from lightweight, I believe he skipped welterweight and went to middleweight, then went back down to get that welterweight belt, had all 3 belts at once. Maybe Davis can do that. Maybe the whole plan is, win at 130. I don't know if he had a belt or what, doesn't even matter. Go up to 140 because no one wants to fight him, and then go back down to 135. That is a history lesson, ladies and gentlemen. You're going to drink to that. Oh, my goodness. You're on fire, Filthy. So
I'll drink to that too.
I can't, I don't even know. I think you asked me, does he go back down? That's kind of my answer. I think he should go back down so he can claim he's won all these belts or whatever. But at the end of the day, his decision is going to be based on where the money is. So on the undercard of that Davis Barrios Showtime pay-per-view fight, Erickson Lubin is fighting Jason Rosario. Both these guys have big notable losses to Jermell Charlo. I wonder if the winner is going to fight Jermell Charlo, because it looks like Jermell's got a fight coming up, but then not much going on. I guess, not quickly, whatever. Who you got, man? Who you got? Lubin or Rosario?
We got time, man. It's actually been a smooth ride so far, man. No bumps.
Shucks.
No bumps. So
Raider Live, you can retire now.
I'm
just kidding.
I probably have Lubin. Obviously, I'm going to say that right off the bat because I like the hammer. I still think that Lubin's one loss that he has in his record against Charlo was a flash knockdown. It was a good shot. It was a perfect shot. It was the Canelo BJS shot. It was he leaned in, Charlo at the same, like, perfect timing, great execution. All the credit to Charlo. It just sucks for Lubin. So, and ever since then, he's just been defeating people. I mean, his last 4 fights, I think, or even his last 5 fights, he might have just been destroying people, right? So I like Lubin. I don't think that that's the Lubin that you're going to see if there's a rematch against a Charlo. I am honestly a little worried about Rosario because he was the one who took that solar plexus jab, who then convulsed. I know we've touched on this like 3 or 4 episodes now, but it was such a weird knockdown. Like I thought he was dying. Like, yeah. It was super. Never have I, and probably never will we see again, a knockdown like that to force somebody into convulsions. And it wasn't even that like powerful of a punch, but I don't know, man, straight right to the perfect spot. Does that. So we'll see if he actually comes back. I know Rosario is not a bad fighter by any means. He is a good fighter, but I think the hammer definitely is the one who has all of the power, the better skill, and is going to outlast, if not knock out, Mr. Rosario at some point in this contest.
Yeah, I kind of like agree with you again. This whole show has just been 2 great minds constantly just because we drink alike. Great minds drink alike, and that's what we're doing. I got Lubin winning this fight. It's like you said, you're like a little, I don't know if worried was the right word, but we're a little worried about Rosario. How does he bounce back from that kind of knockout, or what does that do to his ego? I don't know, and who really knows? I mean, we touched on we shouldn't even mention his name anymore, but after he got that loss, now dude's in Puerto Rican prison. I mean, you never know what losses do to people. Some people just don't bounce back, and this could be the case. But we know what happened to Lubin. Yeah, we know what happened to Lubin, and Lubin has bounced back. And to be honest with you, I can see Lubin going after a few more people before he gets another Charlo fight. Jared Hurd just lost on the Logan Paul fight, Logan Paul Mayweather. Maybe that could be in the works. There could also be, I think J-Rock is in their division, who was supposed to also be on this undercard, who the elbow injury, it sounds like you were telling me.
Yeah, he just pulled out. Like what I think yesterday, maybe today even. I'm not really. I gotta have to go back and look at the article. Within the last 2 days, he pulled out, and I don't know if they have a replacement. So bummer.
Yeah. I guess like to really cut to the chase, we know Jermell Charlo's number one at this division. I think Lubin is probably number two when it's all said and done. I'll drink to that again. I'm on fire.
You got to put that fire out. So you better drink.
Ooh, it's getting hot in here. Anything else before we leave? Should we wrap up? What you want to do?
I think that that probably does it. That touches on it for me, man. I like it.
All right. Well, let's take it home. Judge, if they're listening to us, where can they watch us? And if they're watching us, where can they listen to us?
If you are listening to us and want to watch us, you can go to YouTube/Brews and Boxing. And if you're watching us and want to listen to us, you can go to any of the major podcast sites to check us out. So
awesome. Well, I'll just want to final close out here. Congrats to Alexander Povetkin, the 2004 super heavyweight gold medalist, called it a career. 36-3-1 record, as he called it quits at the age of, I believe, 40 years old. Throughout his career, I had him as high as number 2 overall in the heavyweight division a couple years ago, only behind Anthony Joshua. I know he lost he beat Dillian White, just lost to Dillian White, also lost to Klitschko and Joshua. So there's 3 people you're going to lose to. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. But Alex Povetkin, we will drink to you.
Cheers, man.
All right. One last thing before we go. Make sure you tune in next week. We have our mid-year pound for pound consensus. So, yeah, going to have another one of those long shows. So, for Judge Jimmy James, I am Filthy Rich. Good night. Good fight.